It just kind of drizzled for like 10 hours yesterday, but it's finally kind of stopped raining. I mean, it's snowing just a little bit, but I mean, it's hardly nothing. And so this morning I was taking a look at everything, and I actually made a list for all of my expenses for the year 2024. And I think that this is something that when I talk about this, maybe it'll be just interesting, right? It'll be kind of enlightening for a majority of you. And so I always talk about this idea of when one of the most practical things that you can do in business, because I've always said you don't have to run a business to get rich. I mean, if you have a nice job and you invest your money, I mean, you don't need $10 million to be rich. You don't even need $1 million to be rich. You know, if you bring home 10,000 and you live on 5,000, and you have 5,000 net excess, and you just take that money and you invest it, I mean, you'll never have money problems for the rest of your entire life. All right, you don't need to worry about you don't need to worry about making $1 million. I mean, making $1 million, I mean, you don't need to worry about that. I wouldn't even think about making $1 million. I wouldn't even think about I think about making millions of dollars, but, and I know that that's kind of ironic and it's like whatever, but in all honesty, to be completely honest, well, I'll go through my numbers and I'll tell you about the things that I got going on. So the year 2024, the summer, the end of summer and the middle of summer, I didn't get any rain. It was kind of hot. And for about a 3 to 4 month window in the beginning of the fall, I didn't get any rain either. And it was blistering hot. I actually didn't get any rain for like 4 months. And so I really only ended up maybe using about 6 tons of fertilizer. For the entire year, maybe I really only fertilized my field, maybe 5 or 6 tons. And so we're talking about $3,000 worth of fertilizer. I used about $3,000 worth of fertilizer. And then I got 2 loads of distiller grains at 7 tons each. So I got 14 tons of distiller grains, and it was like $305 a ton delivered. So effectively about $4,200 for all of the distiller grains. I ordered one massive truckload of hay. I got 36 bales, and I paid like $3,700. Let's just say $2,000 for the distiller grains and $4,000 for the hay, just to make the numbers round numbers and make things easy. So $4,000 for the distiller grains, and then I paid $4,000 for the hay, and then I paid about $3,000 for the fertilizer. So that's $11,000. And then I also ordered this grain, and I purchased $2,300 worth of grain. So we're talking about $13,500, about $13,500. And I still have about $2,000 worth of the grain still, and I still have about $1,000 worth of the distiller grains, about $1,200 worth of distiller grains left. So we're talking about, maybe so far I've spent about 10 grand. And if you divide, maybe I spent about 11, let's just say 12 grand to make life easy, right? Just to make life easy, let's just say $12,000. So my business, and this is and I talked about this in terms of business, you have to understand that there will be money involved. You have to understand this. This is a very practical skill. If you actually, when you take a look at a business and you take a look at something, you should understand how much money is involved. All right, I bought this and I bought that and I bought this and I bought that, and it cost me this much. So far, I've used maybe about $12,000 worth of supplies, grain and fertilizer. I used about $12,000 worth of grain and fertilizer in the year 2024. That's about $1,000 a month. My expenses on the long-term average, my expenses to run this business is about $1,000 a month. That's about what it averages out to be. All right, over the long term, for several years. I mean, if urea is sitting at $550 a ton, right, and corn has been trading at between the 4 and 450 range for a long time, for about a year now, and et cetera, right, with where things are in the commodity markets, the urea and et cetera, it cost me about $1,000 a month to run this business on the average. So it cost me $1,000 a month. Let's just say $12,000 a year, right? Let's just say $12,000 a year, right? Because I also got to pay for, I probably use about $1,000 worth of antibiotics too, right? I mean, I buy 2 or 3 jars of antibiotics, and each jar of antibiotic costs about $200. So, I spend about let's just say whatever, right, $1,000 on antibiotics and veterinarian visits. Now we're sitting on about $12,000 a year. Okay, so I spend about $1,000 a month. And then let's take a look at the income side of things. Let's take a look at how much money I bring in. When I sell these animals at $850, and I bring them home at $200 and I sell them at $850, I effectively buy them for about $800, $900, $1,000, and I sell them for $1,600, $1,700, $1,800, $1,900. All right, I more or less double my money. And so, in a very realistic look at this is by about next month, I'll have about a 4-month window where I'm selling about 8 animals a month for about 4 months in a row. And then at the end of the year, I'll have another 4-month span where I sell another 8 animals a month for about 4 or 5 months. And so let's just say 9 months out of the year, I make $14,000 a month. 9 months out of the year, my business is making $14,000 a month. So my business made $130,000 and it cost me $12,000. This is what I mean by I don't care about the expenses. Okay, here's I'm not going to say I don't care about the expenses. I'm going to say it like this. I understand the expenses are there. I understand this business is going to cost me $12,000. But also, if I do my part, I buy the right type of cattle, I budget for them correctly, I put them on the right type of feed, I raise them to a commercial standard, etc., etc. I do these things. I grow my grass. When I grow my grass, I make sure to really take a good look at what kind of fertilizer does my field need. I take a look at the environmental conditions, and then I take a look at the commodity markets, etc., etc. When I do that kind of stuff, it produces me this much money. And if I make $140,000, why would I care about the $12,000? I don't care about the $12,000. I'm not going to say I don't care. I understand that the $12,000 is there. I understand that at the end of the day, this business is going to cost me about $1,000 a month. I understand that. But I'm not sitting there going, oh my God, $1,000 a month. I can't believe it. This is too much money. Now, now I can't now I can't run my $2 million business because I don't have $1,000. I don't think like that. A lot of you are going to get stuck in this situation where you're so concerned about the expenses that you don't even consider the results. If I invest in this thing and it produces a 10% return for 10 years, solid company, massive pool of equity, there's a large pool of equity. This thing, is worth billions of dollars, if not tens of billions, hundreds of billions of dollars, has produced a steady return for the last 74 years. And if I put money in this thing, I can actually double my money within 12 years. You're not thinking about doubling your money. You're sitting there worried about the expenses. Oh my God, it's going to cost me $2,000. You don't understand what it's like to have to make $2,000. It's too late. All right, you're probably not going to make it. You're probably going to die a poor person. All right, I don't know how else to tell you this other than to just be upfront to you about it. It's too late. The damage has been done and it's permanent. All right, and I've been saying this for a long time. And I actually, and I talk about money in terms of cattle, right? I don't just talk about money in terms of money because for whatever reason, I'm not good at math, and I still understand that if I bring home $14,000 and I spend $1,200 to bring home that $14,000, that I've made a net profit of $12,800. I still understand that. Let's say I take 20% of my profits away because of death loss. I still made about $9,000 a month. Right? I still made about $7,000, $8,000, $9,000 a month. And so, I'm not good at math, and I still have the capacity. I still keep track of these things, even though I'm not good at numbers. And so, and I've been saying this for a long time. If you're having a large amount of difficulty understanding what is going on in terms of the numbers, and start writing it down. Oh, he brought home $14,000. Oh, he brought home $25,000. Then he brought home another $14,000. Then he brought home another $25,000. Then he brought home another $14,000. Then he brought home $20,000. For 9 months out of the year, he brought home $14,000. right? He went and put half a ton of urea on his field. That's $275. He went and purchased himself 7 tonnages of grain. That's $300 a ton. That's $2,100. He spent $12,000 and made $140,000. Write it down. Then you'll understand what's going on. You have to keep track of the money. Right, I talk about this all the time. You need to understand that you need to keep track of the money. If you're going to go into business, one of the most practical things that you can do, and if you actually want to run a business, and I talk about this, if you actually want to run a business, do not start a business. I mean, nobody cares about your business. I mean, a majority of businesses, I mean, it's like you're borderline going to be homeless forever. You're going to go on a mystical, magical journey. You're going to be borderline homeless forever, and then you're not going to make any money. And then it's a done deal. All right, a majority of you are going to end up like that. Don't start a business, buy a business. If you really want to run a business, buy a business, buy one. All right, businesses are equitable, just like land and just like anything else that's equitable. A large equity pool, all businesses are valued at a multiple of their earnings. And if you're talking about like a small business, you're more than likely talking about a business. If you're just buying the business and you're not buying the real estate, we're talking about a 3 to 5 times multiples of the earnings, right? The business makes this much money, and you're going to pay 5 times that to buy the business, and then you're going to pay rent for the land. I mean, go and buy a business, okay? And when you go and buy a business, you need to make sure that you take a look at the numbers. You need to take a look at the numbers. How much money is coming in and how much money is going out. Money is not some fantasy thing. All right, money is a real thing, and if you just take a look at it, it's just a number in the bank account. Oh, he has $14,000 a month coming in. He has $12,000 a month coming in on this business. The business costs him $1,000 a month. If the business costs $1,000 a month and he makes $14,000, then the business is producing a net profit of $13,000 a month. All right, you need to be able to take a look at things and then determine how much money is involved. And this is going to be one of the most practical things that you can learn how to do. You're going to have to learn how to do this. If you actually want to go and you want to run a business, you're going to have to understand how to do this. All right, if you don't understand how to do this, then you're not going to be running a business. I mean, you'll go bankrupt. All right, like my business, I made a list of all of my expenses for 2024. All right, I bought two loads of distiller grains. I bought a big old load of hay. And then I bought a load of feed. I bought a load of feed, and then when I put all of that together, and I've actually been saying this for a long time, and then my fertilizer and the medications and vet visits or whatever, my business costs about $1,000 a month. If I want to run about 35 cattle, it costs me about $1,000 a month. All right, it costs me about $1,000 a month, and the business makes me maybe about $14,000. All right, and when it comes to business, I mean, when we actually take a look at it, because I've always said the money talks, right? Money talks, and wealth whispers. When you take a look at this is probably one of the wealthiest things you have ever seen in your entire life. You probably never even seen anything like this before. It probably goes. It may even be going right over your head. You might not even understand. And in a worst case scenario, you're actually running the wrong way completely. All right, I managed to generate myself about $2 million, over $2 million on a 10.5 acre field running commercial cattle. I'm net positive, in terms of just cash. I'm net positive almost $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 a month, and that's while I hold my asset portfolio steady. If I run 35 animals forever, I will have 35 animals worth of equity, and I will still create about $7,000 a month of excess cash flow. When I run cattle, I make such a massive amount of money that I can do anything on the entire planet. If I dug a hole in my backyard and put $350,000 in it and lit it on fire, it wouldn't even faze me. All right, I make more money on a 10.5 acre field than most people make on 500. All right, it just is what it is. I don't know how else to put it. It just is what it is. I mean, money talks. All right, if we want to talk about money, money talks. All right, it just is what it is. I mean, and BS walks, okay? I mean, let's just take a look at it for what it is. All right, my business will probably make about $12,000, $14,000 a month. On the average for the entire year, we'll do about $12,000 a month. I would say that my business is going to make about $14,000 a month for about 9 months out of the year this year. And it's going to cost me maybe about $1,000 a month to run the business. But I'm not even, I don't even sit there and worry about the expenses. The expenses are so negligible that I don't even care. I've actually talked about this, but when you actually take a look at what I'm doing, when you take a look at this, you have to understand that this does not cost me anything. This does not cost me anything. This makes me a massive amount of money. If I were to stop running this business, I would actually start hemorrhaging money. I would hemorrhage money if I stopped running this business. I would lose millions of dollars if I stopped running this business. I mean, you know, when I run this business, and I've been talking about, holding your, holding equity as collateral, right? Like if I went to the bank right now and I said, hey, banker, I want to hold my land as collateral. I want to hold my land as collateral, and I want you to give me a loan against my land. You know, just give me a line of credit for 350 grand. And the banker said, okay, we'll give you a loan for 350 grand, but it's going to cost you $1,500 a month. It's going to cost you $2,000 a month. And I said, okay, thank you, banker. That's fine. I'll pay the $2,000 a month. I don't care about the $2,000 a month. Just give me my 350 grand. And they gave me my 350 grand. And I was paying $2,000 a month for it. The land itself produces me about $11,000 a month. I'll just take the $2,000 a month out of the $11,000 that I'm making. I will still have $9,000 a month left over, and I could light that $350,000 on fire, and it wouldn't even faze me. All right, it wouldn't do anything to my financials. It would be 1/5 of my money. All right, so I mean, you got to learn to consider how much money is involved. Take a look at it and determine how much money is involved. This is going to be one of the most practical things that you could ever learn. Oh, he put $250 worth of fertilizer on his field. He anticipated that he was going to need 350 units of fertilizer, and so he went and purchased 300. He anticipated that he was going to need 450 units of fertilizer. 450 units of fertilizer with urea trading at $5.50 is about $275. So he put $275 worth of fertilizer on his field and grew enough grass to feed about 35 animals. All right, for that $275 investment, and then whatever, right? I also feed them some corn or some grain or some distiller grains, whatever it may be, right? He fed them. He gave them. He used $275 worth of fertilizer on his field. He fed them, $100 worth of grain. He fed them $200 worth of grain. He fed them $350 worth of grain. 350 plus 250 is $600. So his business cost him $600 for the entire month. And during that entire month, he raised 35 animals and put about 75 pounds on each animal. He's raising number 1 to 1.5 type medium large frame animals. He goes on the stock market, looks at the feeder cattle price. Because of his local market, he takes a 10% deduction off of that feeder cattle number and then cuts that number in half. Right? Because if I cut that number in half and I go to the sale barn and I buy animals, then effectively when I'm done raising the animals, I will be selling the animals for double the price at the local market average. Those are the kind of things that I think about. I don't even care about the $1,000. I'm not going to say I don't care, but the $1,000 is negligible to me. I'll take the $1,000 a month that I need for my business out of the $12,000 that I'm making. And if you take a look at what I'm doing, and it's like I have all of these equitable assets, I have a piece of land, I have a business, I have cattle, etc., etc. When you take a look at all this, I could go and collateralize my land right now for $350,000. Take a loan for $350,000 from the bank. Just give me my 350 grand. I'll go to the bank, get a loan, and they'll give me my 350 grand. That's not even. It's a loan, but I'm holding my land as collateral. It's my money, right? It's the money that I've been storing in my property. I'll take my 350 grand and I'll pay the $2,000 a month for it. And if I lit it on fire, it wouldn't do anything. It wouldn't even faze me. It wouldn't even dent my financials. I would still be net positive about $9,000 a month. All right, and so you really got to start thinking about making money via equity. You want to start making money via equity, because when you have equity, you can collateralize that equity. And I've been using the Coca-Cola stock as an example, right? I've been talking about the stock market for several days now, and I've been putting a lot of emphasis on the stock market. But if you have $400,000 worth of Coca-Cola stock, and you got that $400,000 worth of Coca-Cola stock by putting $2,000 a month into the Coca-Cola business because you took a look at the business and you were like, this is a good business. If you take a look at what they do, I mean, they're effectively just putting a little bit of water in a plastic bottle and some syrup, and then they're selling it for like $1.50. Right? It's a good business. It's a good model. I mean, you know, this business is not going bankrupt in the next 10 years. They've been making a 10% return over the last 74 years. And so, you know, you put $2,000 a month into the business, and then after 10 years, you put $240,000 in the business, but you have $400,000 back. And you go and you say, oh, well, I don't think that Coca-Cola stock, I don't think that the Coca-Cola company is going to fall by 50% over the next, whatever, the next foreseeable future. I don't see Coca-Cola going to 50 cents a can. I don't see Coca-Cola going from $1 a can to 50 cents a can. Right? So you take a loan for half of your equity position, and your $400,000 worth of stock is still going up by 10% a year. Then you're gonna then for that $200,000 loan, you would be paying $1,250 a month. You would be paying you would be paying about $25,000 a year, $30,000 a year, but your stock itself would still continue to go up by 10% a year, $40,000 a year. That $25,000 a year, you can just take it out of the $40,000 that you're making, and then it's like free money. You can go and you can light it on fire. You want to go and light $200,000 on fire? Have fun. You can do it now. It doesn't even matter. It won't even dent your finances. The appreciation of your assets is covering all of your expenses. Right? I've talked about this in terms of a broader idea, right? You really want to get to a point where your assets are appreciating at such a degree that they cover all of your excess, or not all of your excess, all of your expenses, and produce an excess. That's where you want to be in your life. I make $20,000 a month and I spend $5,000. I have a net positive gain of $15,000 a month. That's where you want to be. You don't want to be scraping money out the bottom. You don't want to have convinced yourself that you're a saint. Money is, oh my God, you know, I'm not going to go make money because if I make money, I'm a bad person. You don't want to be anything like that. All right. If anything, you know, just, you know, find your peace, right? I've always said keep your peace with God and don't sell your soul to the devil, and you know, and whatever it is, you're probably just better off making money. All right, you're not a saint, you're not a good person, trust me, nobody is. I mean, unless you are like the next Jesus Christ, or the next Buddha, or, you know, or Muhammad, or I don't, you know, Allah, or, you know, I don't know the various religious figures, and, you know, but you know, I don't really know a whole lot about religion, okay? But I mean, unless you are like the next saint, your chances are you're not a saint. All right, you know, it just is what it is, okay? So, you know, you shouldn't convince yourself that being poor is going to make you a good person. It's not going to make you a poor person. You know, if anything, you know, I mean, you know, it just, I mean, let's just take a look at it for what it is, okay? I mean, you should probably just go and make some money. And when you get to a certain point with money, it won't even matter. All right, you can, you know, like in my situation, you know, I net a positive of maybe about $14,000-$15,000 a month. Even after I pay for everything and I keep my investment portfolio steady, I have equity in my animals, and I still produce a net positive cash flow. I still produce a net positive excess cash flow of about $70,000-$80,000 a year. Sometimes it's even up to $100,000. But, you know, I really want to get myself, you know, I really want to get myself doing better. And I think that, well, I've been taking a look at everything, and you know, within about the next month, I'm going to be liquidating animals. And when I'm liquidating animals and I'm cashing in the big checks, I want to be going to the, I want to go to the bank and show them the bank. I want to show the banker the money. And then I want to take a loan, right? I want to expand my business. I don't want to sit here on a, if I want to sit on a 10.5 acre field forever, if I want to sit on a 10.5 acre field forever and make $12,000 a month running commercial, if that's what I want to do, I can always come back and do it. But I might as well go and do better for myself, right? I've taken a look at it and I want to do better for myself. Right, I want to buy a bigger piece of land. If I take 1/4 of the money that I'm making right now, if I take 1/4 of it and I leverage it, I can actually buy myself a piece of land that's about 10 times bigger than what I have. All right, and if I have more land, I'll run more cattle. All right, and when I run more cattle, I'll make more money. And so I'm taking a look at it. You know, I want to leverage a portion of my income. I want to buy myself a bigger piece of land. And if I decide that, you know, farming, for whatever reason, I just say, oh my God, farming's not for me, and I want to go back to my 10.5 acre field and just make $12,000 a month for the rest of my life, then I can always come back and do that. But I'm getting my finances ready. I believe that I'm gonna have everything ready to go starting by about next month, and then I'm gonna go and show the bank. I'm gonna be cashing in real big checks. I'm gonna be making large amounts of money. I actually think that I'm gonna. Okay, but the big idea is that, you know, I've already been talking about this, but I don't want to be in a situation where I'm just sitting on money. I don't want to be sitting around with hundreds of thousands of dollars. Why would I sit around with $500,000? That $500,000 is not going to do anything. If anything, I'm going to be losing a portion of it because of inflation. Right? The buying power of the dollar is if anything, it's going to go down. Why would I want to sit there and hold $500,000 cash? That's not going to do anything, right? And so, you know, my big idea in terms of my business, what direction do I want to see my business going, is you know, like me, when I go to the sell barn, and let's say I sell 10 animals, and I come home with 10 animals, and I also come home with $8,000 cash. You know, I sold 10 animals, I bought 10 animals, I kept my investment portfolio completely even, and I also brought home $8,000 cash. I don't really want to even bring home the excess $8,000 cash. What am I going to do with $8,000? It's not going to do anything. I want to buy more cattle. If I sell 10 cattle, I want to buy 20 cattle. I don't want to sell 10 cattle, buy 10 cattle, and come home with $8,000 cash. I want to sell 10 cattle and buy 20 cattle. And if I really need money, I can just sell an animal. If I really need a lot of money, I can sell a few animals. All right, my air conditioner blew up, and now I need to pay for it. Well, I'll just sell a few animals. That's where I want to. That's the direction that I want to see my business going. That's the direction that I want to see my business going. You know, I don't want to be in a situation where I go to the sell barn, I sell 10 animals, I buy 10 animals, and then I come home with $9,000 cash. I don't want to do that. I want to sell my 10 animals, and then I want to buy 20 animals. If I really need money, I can just sell a portion of my herd and then just take the money, right? And so, you know, I don't want to be in a situation where, you know, I'm coming home with just large amounts of money, and then I'm just sitting on cash for no reason. It's not going to do anything. The cash is not going to do anything. I can't even buy anything. Right? I mean, what am I, what am I going to buy with, you know, whatever, right? I mean, you know, what could you possibly buy with, you know, because think about it like this, think about it like this, $110,000 a year would be like me buying myself 2 trucks every single year. What the heck am I, you know, why would I do that? Why would I buy myself 2 trucks every single year? There's nothing that you can even do with $110,000. You know, if you have $110,000 worth of excess income, there's nothing that granted that you don't have major problems, you can't even spend the money. $110,000 after I've paid for everything, I still have $110,000 left over. I don't even do anything with the money. I mean, I want to invest it. I want to buy more cattle, right? I don't want to come home with, I don't want to go and sell 10 cattle, buy 10 cattle, and come home with $9,000 cash. I want to go to the sell barn, sell 10 animals, and buy 20 animals. That's what I want to do. And so I'm looking to take my business that direction by buying myself more land. And when I buy myself more land, I'm going to leverage about 1/4 of what I'm making on this field right now. I'm going to leverage about 25% of it. All right, I'm not leveraging myself to the eyeballs. If I took a loan for $350,000, if I went to the bank right now and just said, hold this as collateral, give me $350,000, and I came home and I dug a hole in the ground and I lit that $350,000 on fire, it wouldn't do anything to me. It wouldn't even faze me. It wouldn't even dent my financials. The land that I collateralized for that loan, for that money, the land that I collateralized for that money, for the $2,000, produces me $11,000 a month. So it doesn't even faze me. All right, I could light $350,000 on fire right now and it wouldn't do anything. All right, and this is why I'm saying you really want a large equity stake. You want to learn how to develop equity. You want to have a reasonable idea for appreciating that equity. You have a reasonable understanding of why that equity is going to go up or whatever. It's going to produce a positive return. And then once you have a large equity stake, you can actually collateralize it for whatever you feel safe. Let's say you have a $400,000 equity position and you manage to get yourself that $400,000 equity position because you put $2,000 a month into the thing for 10 years. You put $240,000 into that thing, but it went up by 10% a year because it was a good company producing a good product, and their earnings, their price to earnings ratio stayed steady at 20. And over the long term, there was a little bit of inflation every single year, and within whatever, right? Within 10 years, there was 25% inflation, etc., etc. And now your company that you invested in has made you a $400,000 return, and you put $240,000 into it. And you take a look at your company that you're investing in, and you go, well, I don't think that this company is going to fall by more than 50%. And even if things just go kind of average, it'll produce a 10% return. So you have $400,000 worth of equity. It's going up by 10% a year. That's $40,000 for the first year, and then the next year it's going to be like $44,000. You know, it'll compound growth. And you say, well, if I take a loan for $200,000, if I hold my equity stake as collateral, I don't think that the company's going to fall by more than 50%. So I'm just going to take a loan for $200,000 because that's what I feel safe doing. You take a loan for $200,000, they give you the loan, and they say for this loan you're going to have to pay $1,250 a month. That's whatever, $18,000 a year. That's less than $20,000 a year, and your equity stake is still making you over $40,000. You know, $40,000 a year, and then the next year it'll keep compounding growth, right? And you know, and so you know, you could take that 200 grand and you could light it on fire, and it wouldn't do anything. It wouldn't even dent your financials. You could do whatever the heck you want. All right, and then the 20 grand that you need for the $200,000 loan, the $18,000 that you need for the $200,000 loan, you can just take that out of your 10% return from your bigger equity stake. That's the same exact thing that's going on with my farm right now, right? My farmland is, you know, I could go to the bank right now and take a loan against my farm and have them give me 350 grand. If I had them give me 350 grand, that loan would cost me about $2,000 a month. That's about $24,000 a year. The land that I am holding as collateral produces me $11,000 a month. I can just take the $2,000 out of the $11,000 that I'm making. I could light that $350,000 on fire, and it wouldn't even do anything to me. It wouldn't even faze me. All right, that's how you wanna. That's more or less the direction that you want to go in terms of your finances. You want to have a large equity stake. You want to have a reasonable understanding for why the appreciation of the asset will happen. And then at the end of the day, if you really want to access your money, you do not sell your asset, you collateralize it. And in terms of my perspective, the chances of me failing at farming are borderline 0%. If I were gonna fail at farming, if I was legitimately gonna fail at farming, I may be one of the most capable farmers on the entire planet. I make more money on my 10.5 acres than most people make on 500. All right, you know, it just is what it is. I mean, money talks. All right, you know, and if you're gonna whatever, just be a massive pile of problems and keep your BS to yourself. Take a look at it for yourself. All right, consider how much money is going in and out. Think about it. All right, and then but it's the same thing with me. And the direction that I want to go is I want to take a quarter of my earnings and I want to leverage it to buy myself a piece of land. And when I buy myself a piece of land with that much money, I'll effectively be able to buy a field that's about 8, 9, 10 times bigger than the one that I have right now. And I want to run more cattle. And I want to put myself in a situation that when I go to the sell barn, I'm not selling 10 cattle, buying 10 cattle and coming home with $9,000 cash. I don't want to do that. I want to sell 10 cattle and buy 20 cattle. And then if I need money, I'll just sell some animals. And, but that's it for me today, YouTube. Y'all have a good one.